one other question for you, Dr. Rashad, and I apologize, it's more like an interview, but I am just,
it's all good.
Yeah. Well, one of the pieces of this is whether or not qualified immunity could be reformed. This is what they're talking about, so that that the department could be on the hook. I believe it's the department or the precinct could be on the hook versus the individual. Like, is that a better almost like a compromise?
Let me tell you why I think that's a bad compromise. Because if an officer acts in a particular way while executing his or her duties, then the office, to some degree, may already be on the line. It depends on how that jurisdiction interprets it. What I'm afraid will happen if we go with this federal compromise, that it basically doesn't change much locally, because a lot of local jurisdictions, they have policies to make citizens whole when a cop steps out of line. It should be both. And here's why it should be both. There's a greater principle argument here. You know why surgeons don't make as many mistakes as they used to? It's because of tort law. Tort law would sue them to oblivion if they made certain mistakes. And so the industry created practices, best practices, and new certifications for surgeons, so that surgeons had to be board certified in order to limit their liability in the industry. And who benefits from that? The people who are getting the surgery. So who would benefit from police officers being held to a higher standard, or what we call a normative standard of accountability? The people they police. And that's why I am no compromise on the immunity, the qualified immunity part of the bill.
What do you think about, and this is interesting because I just want to read this quote from the White House through Jen Psaki, who is saying the president is still very hopeful that he will sign the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act into law. She says, we're closely engaged with negotiators while also leaving the Senate room to work. You feel like this is enough? Like, what else can Joe Biden do other than everything? Other than get the Democrats on board and abolish the filibuster? But yeah, what kind of pressure could we be seeing from the office of the White House around this issue?
I've been trying to figure out Joe Biden as far as his leadership around these massive issues for a couple of months. Yeah. Either he is unable to lead in a particular way, or he's unwilling to lead in a particular way. He has not placed the full weight of the White House behind anything, nothing. He has not placed the full weight of the Democratic Party, even against other Democrats. And these Democrats are holding up true progress in America. Exactly. The vast majority of Americans voted for an agenda. They didn't vote for Joe. Let's be honest, nobody was excited about voting for Joe Biden. Hell, I wasn't excited about voting for Joe Biden. I was excited about voting for an agenda that was contrary to the monster we had in office for 4 years. And I did not want to see what that looked like 8 years down the road, right? So we voted in a way that said we are putting an agenda above everything else. If Biden does not deliver the agenda by putting his full political weight behind these massive social policies to change the soul of this nation, if he doesn't do that, then we'll see him at the ballot box or not. That's how this will work. And it's sad because you got great progressive leadership in power right now, all across this country like never before, but he's still the guy, he's still the leader. You have to follow this guy to some degree, and he's the one that can block anything. And if he's not leading in front, but trying to lead from behind in this era, it won't work.
Yeah, and especially thinking about who gave him that mandate, right? Which communities, right? We're talking about the Black community. We're talking about the immigrant community, and on those two particular topics, when it comes to police reform and when it comes to immigration reform, Biden is absolutely leading from behind. Has not been his approach. He is not looking to stick his neck out for either of those two issues. And look, I think it's great that he invited the George Floyd family into, the White House. That's fine. But what about going to Minneapolis? What about going to the family? What about going to communities and really just talking with them? What about talking to the family of Dante Wright? What about just looking and understanding with his own eyes? I mean, imagine the press that would cause.
Right.
That would be a huge statement. So I do think that there are other ways besides sort of symbolic meet and greet. That there's better symbolism to be had, but there's also, like actually pushing for a piece of legislation. Or look, I don't know, what can and can't you do with executive order? We still don't know, Rashad. We were like,
I know.
How many years?
It's so ambiguous, and here's why I'm at. And a lot of people are going to completely disagree with me, and I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine with the disagreement. I'm at this place now. Damn it, do everything by executive order until a judge overturns it. And that's almost how the previous administration got stuff done. Just do it. Do it. If a judge tells you can't do it, file an appeal, then file another appeal, but do something. Do something, Joe. These folks depended on you to deliver an agenda. And why haven't you gone to Joe Manchin? I'm talking about to his state. Bring a family to his state. Make an optical spectacle there. If you want to do optics, let's do it in the state of a guy who's low-hanging fruit on one hand, but also an individual who's a contrarian to the progress we're talking about.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.